Hey guys, today we're getting into the very last section that we're going to cover this year. In this section we're going to get into a little bit of algebra, and we're going to start off this section learning about integers. So the number line is an awesome visual, and mainly this year we've stayed on the right side of the number line where we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this arrow means all the numbers beyond 6 forever and ever. Okay, the numbers on the left side of 0, hopefully you know, those are where we have some negatives. -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. So when you are in elementary, you mostly stay on the right side of the number line. All the numbers on the right side of the number line, these are called the counting numbers. The counting numbers start with 1 and then go on and on and on. Once you add the number 0 to your list, so getting out a little wider, all the counting numbers plus the number 0 are called the whole numbers. Okay. When we widen our list even more, not only do we have all the numbers here in blue, the counting numbers, plus the brown 0 here in the middle, if we throw in all of the negative numbers, these numbers I have here in red, all of the number line together, all the positives and all the negatives, that is what I mean by integers. An integer can be the number 1, or it could be the number -5. Integers include every single negative whole number, every single positive whole number, and 0. We're going to be doing a lot of math with integers. We're going to be doing math with both positives and negatives, learning how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide with positives and negatives. Okay, so the number line is a great visual that we're going to be using a lot lately. Something to understand with the number line is as you head further and further to the left, numbers get smaller. Okay, so no matter where you're at on the number line, if you move to the left, you're going to move towards smaller numbers. And oppositely, as you go to the right, numbers get bigger. So if you're doing an addition problem, you're going to be moving right because adding makes your final answer get bigger. If you're doing a subtraction problem, you're going to be moving to the left because subtraction causes your number to get smaller. Why do we need both the left and right side of the number line? Why do we need positives and negatives? Well, you guys have probably seen negatives in previous math classes, but you also see negatives all the time in the real world. We live in a pretty cold state where the temperature drops below 0 often. We also live in a very materialistic country where we spend, and unfortunately a great majority of people in this country are in debt, which means they own negative amounts of money. Anytime you go below sea level, you're at a negative elevation. And obviously you use negatives a lot in math class. In your guys' future math classes that you head into next year, you're definitely going to need to understand and be able to work with negatives. Okay, so let's talk opposites. The opposite of white is black. The opposite of tall is short. Numbers also have opposites, and I bet you can guess, what do you think the opposite of 6 is? The opposite of 6 is negative 6. Because on the number line, positive 6 and down here would be negative 6 are opposite sides from 0. What's the opposite of negative 280? Positive 280. Every number has an opposite. Basically, if you're moving 6 spaces to the left of 0 to find the opposite, you move 6 spaces to the right of 0. Trick question, what is the opposite of 0? The opposite of 0 is 0. Okay, every number has an opposite. To finish this lesson, we're going to be comparing integers. So it's important to understand how numbers compare to each other. For example, if you have $100 in the bank, that's more than having $50 in the bank. You could possibly have no money in your bank at all, or even worse, you could owe someone money, like maybe you have no money and yet you chose to buy a pair of shoes and put the cost on your credit card. Then maybe you'll have negative $30 in your account. Okay, so as I go down the list here, I'm getting smaller and smaller. Negative 30 is smaller than 0. You're in a worse situation here where you're in debt $30, you owe somebody. Then here you don't owe anybody, you just don't have any money. So when you're comparing, especially negative numbers to each other, I find it helpful to think about money. What's a worst case scenario? To be $6 in debt or to be $7 in debt? This is the worst case scenario. So negative 7 would be smaller than negative 6. All right, so let's do these examples below. I want you to fill in the blank with a greater than, less than, or equal to sign. Okay, comparing 8 and 6. Pretty simple. We know that 8 is greater than 6. And if you go back to your number line, 8 would be somewhere over here on the number line, where 6 is further to the left. Remember, anytime you go further to the left, numbers get smaller. So yes, 8 is greater than 6. Now let's compare two negatives. Which is larger? Negative 5 or negative 4? Well, let's look back at the number line. Negative 5 is further to the left. It's smaller. Or if you're thinking about money, it's a bad scenario to be $5 in debt. And this is not quite as bad of a scenario to be only $4 in debt. So here you would fill in the blank. $4 in debt is a better scenario, so the inequality monster is going to eat the better choice. Okay, now we're comparing 0 and negative 3. Again, I'd rather have no money than have no money plus owe someone $3. Having no money is the better scenario, or again, refer to the number line. Negative 3 is further left than 0. Let me try to get the quality back here. Sorry, the screen is kind of blurry here. There we go. It's getting a little better. All right, and lastly, comparing 4 and negative 4. Which is the better scenario money-wise? To have positive $4 is the better scenario, so the inequality monster would eat the better scenario, or again, you can always refer to your number line. Negative 4 is further to the left than positive 4. On your worksheet today, you'll be looking at integers and doing comparison problems like the ones we just did.